Hello, this is Kittens cycling in Ireland. Today's cycle is in County Sligo and its surrounding area. As always, this is very early in the morning and I'm currently staying in Strandhill Caravan and Camping Park. By the way, the tent that I'm using is Quechua 4.1 that I've bought from Decathlon in Dublin. I used to have a normal, typical three-person pole tent, but at my previous campsite, I came across this family using air tent. And traditionally, these air tents are really expensive compared to pole tents. But thankfully, Decathlon launched an affordable and very high quality Quechua air tent. So I've bought the tent and this is my first time actually using the tent, which I find it amazing because it's so easy to set it up and take it down, and the space that you can get is enormous compared to normal tents. Maybe the only drawback of this tent is because it's quite large. I cannot use it on the small tent pitch. That means I have to pay extra and always reserve a family-sized tent pitch at Caravan and Camping. As you can see, the morning weather in Strandhill is quite foggy, so I waited a little bit for the fog to clear up. But it's also a good sign because, fog in the morning means it's gonna be a bright sunny day. The total course I've covered today is about 120 kilometers around County Sligo, and I will be covering many famous tourist spots including this Rosses Point that I'm arriving in, Glenif Horseshoe, Loch Gill, and Lake Isle of Innisfree. Here I'm arriving at Rosses Point, and you can see on my right Osti's bar and restaurant. I had a really lovely fish and chips with Guinness last time that I visited here. It was delicious and that's a really lovely bar. And the statue that you can see on my left is called Waiting on Shore Monument, and it is an iconic landmark that represents Rosses Point. Actually, this Rosses Point is where I camped last time, about a year ago, but the place was fully booked this time, so I had to choose the Strandhill campsite instead. Out of curiosity, I just cycled here up to the entrance of the Greens Caravan and Parking, which is right next to Rosses Point. And here you can see the campsite is totally booked out. Since this was an exceptional week with a fantastic weather, so I think everyone was here out camping. The another great beauty of this Rosses Point in Sligo is that it has one of the most beautiful sunset that I've experienced in Ireland. Although today this is very early in the morning and you can see the weather is still quite foggy since the sun has not fully risen yet. But when you come here in the evening, you can catch the last glimpse of the fiery sun going over the horizon in the far. Yes, that was actually the most beautiful sunset that I've experienced in my life. As the time passes, and you can see the fog is clearing up a little bit, And not just when it comes to Ross's Point, not just the beach and the coastside, but also this lovely street along the coastline. It's so cozy and heartwarming, and it's the main reason that why I'm coming to Ross's Point whenever I visit County Sligo. Last time it was on my car, but this time I'm properly experiencing it on my bike. My next stop is Drumcliff Church. This tiny rural church is famous because it has the graveyard of the famous poet William Butler Yeats. You can see the whole Sligo County is very well known for its literal heritage because of the Nobel Prize winner, one of the world's most famous poet. Here on my front is Yeats graveyard, and this is also the must visit place whenever I come to Sligo. The church itself is nothing fancy, but still pretty and beautiful, and it gives this weirdly good feeling that once the great poet is now having his eternal peace in this lovely church. After Drumcliff, now I'm heading to the famous Glenif Horseshoe, which looks like a huge horseshoe when it's looked down from the air. The reason why the terrain here is shaped like a horseshoe is that long time ago during the Ice Age, there was a huge glacier stuck in between this valley, but eventually the world got a lot warmer and the ice melted out, leaving this huge hole in between the mountains. As the name indicates, you can enter this Glenif Horseshoe either from left or right, but either way, the entrance of the horseshoe route here is very steep. So if you are not an experienced cyclist, it could be a little bit painful to climb up that hill. As you get closer, the whole Glenifshew mountain becomes much larger, and the view becomes more magnificent. Oh, and either before this horseshoe or after the horseshoe, if you feel thirsty or need to take a break for a while, there's a lovely Glenif coffee cart at the entrance of the Glenif Horseshoe. So you can use that to take a rest and quench your thirst for a while. And also it's said that you can actually climb up to the mountains. There are some tunnels that are located on the top of those cliffs, but definitely you need a good climbing gear and good level of fitness. Last time when I visited here on my car, I saw many climbers going up and down those hilly side, but today not so much. And by far at this point I'm about 1/3 or halfway done of today's cycle, and the remaining locations are Loch Gill and the famous Lake Isle of Innisfree. But still, if I had to choose one spot that is most magnificent in Sligo, I'd pick this Glenif Horseshoe. Now I'm heading south, and on my right I'm passing by Loch Gill. Loch is in Irish, meaning lake, so it's Lake Gill. And you can see on a clear sunny day like this, the lake looks so pristine and beautiful. And it's the place where also the Isle of Innisfree is located. As always, to extend my cycling mileage a little bit more, I'm not going to Innisfree directly and taking a little bit of detour around the shores of Loch Gill. Loch Gill itself is a very large lake, so there are plenty of castles and landmarks that you can enjoy on your way. And finally, I've arrived at today's last point of interest, Lake Isle of Innisfree. Things really haven't changed over a year since I visited here last time on my car, and instead of parking my car, I'm cycling directly to the pier. There's a little pier in front that you can see, and at the end of this pier you can see Innisfree at your front. Stopping here for briefly, and I'll be flying my drone. In fact, the name Innisfree is quite special for me, like people from South Korea. Because Innisfree, when you say this name to Koreans, they will immediately think of a famous cosmetic brand instead of the island itself. And I heard that the marketer who named that cosmetic brand Innisfree had actually got a motif from the island itself. Here I'm going back to the campsite through Sligo town center, and since it's just a weekday, the traffic jam is not that severe. And that's pretty much it, and now I'm back to the Strand Hill Caravan and Camping, where I've started my cycle in the morning, and it was about 130 kilometers. As expected, it was foggy in the morning, so now the sky is crystal clear and the sun is shining bright. It's first time that I'm camping at this campsite, but I love the atmosphere, and the owners were very considerate, limiting the whole number of guests that are camping or doing caravan at the same time. And that's pretty much it, the end of my cycling this time. And I'll be having dinner and take a good rest, and tomorrow return to Dublin. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on my next video.